The last day of death row inmate Andrew Kokoraleis, the Ripper crew's youngest killer. Hi everyone. Imagine being part of one of the most disturbing crime cults in American history and ending your life as the final person ever executed in your state. That's the chilling legacy of Andrew Kokoraleis, a teenage member of the notorious Ripper. Crew Kokoraleis didn't just witness horrors, she helped carry them out. From the ritualistic torture of young women to the shocking occult ceremonies that followed this case, blurred the line between evil and insanity. Yet in a twist that still stirs outrage, the group's alleged ringleader lived, while Andrew alone paid the ultimate price. On March 17, 1999, after 17 years on death row, he faced his last sunrise. No last-minute appeals, no tears, just silence. And the slow countdown to death. In today's video, we're going inside the final 24 hours of a man whose crimes and execution would help change Illinois forever. You won't believe what unfolded behind those prison walls. Dear friends, Andrew Kokoraleis was just 18 when he joined the Ripper Cree, name that would become synonymous with ritualistic violence, fear, and cruelty. In 1980s, Illinois, he wasn't a mastermind. He wasn't the most vocal. But what made his case so haunting was how deeply involved he became, how willingly he participated, and how, in the end, he was the only one among the crew to face execution. It all began with the abduction and gruesome murder of 28-year-old Linda Sutton in 1981. Linda was a mother of two. She was last seen near Wrigley Field, only to be discovered days later, her body mutilated and dumped near a motel. Investigators were horrified. Her left breast had been surgically removed, her body showed signs of severe torture, and she had been sexually assaulted. But the case went cold, at least for a while. This killing would become the blueprint for the Ripper crew's sadistic spree. Between 1981 and 1982, nearly 20 women disappeared under eerily similar circumstances. Women would vanish from street corners, parking lots, even while walking to work. They'd later be found mutilated with one signature detail, repeating again and again, the left breast removed. At the center of it all were four men: Robin Gecht, the self-proclaimed leader with a fascination for satanic rituals; Edward Spreitzer, a willing executioner; and the Kokoraleis brothers, Andrew and Thomas. Andrew Kokoraleis was often the driver. He helped lure women into the van. He helped hold them down. He participated in the aftermath. And by his own admissions and those of his brother, he was deeply involved in at least one confirmed murder, that of 21-year-old Lori Borowski. On May 15, 1982, Lori was walking to work when she was suddenly abducted outside her office. Her keys, shoes, and makeup bag were found scattered on the pavement, evidence of a violent struggle. Months later, her body was discovered in a shallow grave, horribly mutilated. The Ripper crew didn't just kill, they performed rituals. According to testimonies, they'd remove victims' breasts and take them to Robin Gecht's attic, where they held ceremonies around a makeshift altar. It was in this chilling blend of violence and ritual that the crew carved their place in criminal history. Eventually, the law caught up with them. After a failed attack, Robin Gecht was arrested in November 1982. Under pressure, the other members began to crack. Spreitzer confessed and implicated the Kokoraleis brothers. Thomas Kokoraleis offered his own testimony, describing how he and Andrew had participated in the killings. Andrew was arrested and brought to trial for Lori Borowski's murder. The evidence was compelling: confessions, eyewitness accounts, and details that only someone involved would know. In 1987, 5 years after his arrest, he was convicted and sentenced to death. What followed was a 12-year legal battle. His attorneys argued for clemency, citing his age at the time of the crimes and his alleged lower-level involvement, compared to Gecht, who had escaped the death penalty entirely. While Robin Gecht served 120 years in prison for rape and attempted murder, Andrew Kokoraleis was headed the execution chamber. As the years passed, the political winds in Illinois began to shift. Concerns about wrongful convictions and the ethics of capital punishment became louder. But for Andrew, time had run out. On March 17, 1999, his final day arrived. He woke early at Tams Correctional Center. Guards reported he was calm, even introspective. There was no panic, no outbursts. Perhaps it was the weight of what was coming, or perhaps the realization that no more appeals would save him. His execution had been scheduled for midday. That morning, he met with spiritual advisors. The Kokoraleis family had been raised Orthodox, Christian, and Andrew clung to his faith in those final hours. Religious figures prayed with him, offering comfort and chants for final confession. He received a last meal, though the details remain vague. A tradition that, despite its symbolism, could never balance the scale of what had come before. Meanwhile, preparations for the lethal injection were completed with clinical precision. At 12:15 p.m., Andrew was escorted to the execution chamber. He walked without resistance. Witnesses included media representatives, legal officials, and most importantly, the families of his victims, some of whom had waited nearly 2 decades for this moment. He was strapped to the gurney. When asked if he had any final words, Kokoraleis offered a short, ambiguous statement. No apology, no admission of guilt, just a few words that left more questions than answers. At 12:30 p.m., the drugs were administered. Within minutes, he was pronounced dead. And just like that, Andrew Kokoraleis became the last person executed in Illinois. His death did not end the pain. For families like that of Lori Borowski, it offered closure, but not healing. For others, it reignited debate. Why had Kokoraleis, the youngest member of the crew, been the only one sentenced to death? Why had Robin Gecht, widely believed to be the ringleader, never faced a murder conviction? Was justice truly served, or was this simply the easiest path for a justice system under pressure? In the years following Andrew's execution, Illinois underwent a reckoning. In 2000, Governor George Ryan declared a moratorium on executions, citing concerns about wrongful convictions and inconsistent sentencing. By 2011, the state formally abolished the death penalty. Andrew's case had become a reference point, an example of both the power and the flaws of capital punishment. To some, his execution was necessary justice for the horrific crimes he helped commit. To others, it was an ethical failure, a reminder that even the guilty deserve consistency under the law. Andrew Kokoraleis' execution on March 17, 1999 closed a chilling chapter in Illinois criminal history. His was not just the story of one man's descent into evil, but a stark example of how youth influence and brutality can collide with devastating results. As the last person to be executed in Illinois, Kokoraleis' case became a turning point, a symbol for both justice served and justice questioned. While families of victims like Lorraine Borowski may have found a degree of closure, the scars remain. His death sparked deeper reflection on the ethics and reliability of the death penalty, ultimately contributing to its abolition in the state just 12 years later. In the end, Andrew's legacy is one of pain and unanswered questions. How does a teenager become a killer? Did justice take the right path? And can society ever truly reconcile with the weight of lives lost? The answers still linger long after the final breath was taken.